I know when you're starting out, it's hard to say no because you want to make money, you want to get out there and get the gigs. And it's understandable, but I would say don't get comfortable there. If you're going to give discounts, try to give the discounts to, the organizations that really appreciate it, and the nonprofits and the charities. They always need some help. We always, try to ask them to put us in the program. If they're going to have like a slideshow during the event, can you, add us to your slideshow, announce us. If you have any swag bags you're giving away, can I bring you business cards or postcards or whatever that you can put in the swag bags?
Awesome.
Yeah, anything like that.
All right. How's it going, everybody? John here again with the Photo Booth Talk Show. We are filming episode 7 for you guys, so hopefully you guys have been tuning in. Today we got a special treat for you guys. A well-known company, Will, here in the photo booth and photography business. Again, my name is John. This is Ray.
And I'm Ray.
I'm Carlos.
And special guest today, Will's here with Desert Rose Photo. So go ahead and check them out there. We're going to be talking a little bit about how Will got into the industry as far as the photo booth business. If I'm not mistaken, you've been a photographer before that, right?
Correct.
Awesome. What were you doing prior to a photographer? What made you become a photographer? What made you that passion?
So I started out with photography in high school.
Right.
And back then, it was all on film.
Oh,
There was no consumer digital.
Right.
So when I was taking pictures for the newspaper and for the yearbook and stuff, everything was on film. So that's how I learned. And it was always kind of a side thing for years. I had other jobs. I worked at a skating rink. I was a DJ at a skating rink.
You DJ too?
He's
yeah.
DJ too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, been in the industry since.
I've worked, restaurants, fast food. I was in the real estate business for a while. I was a realtor. So I've done a bunch of things. But photography was always a side thing. I've been a musician for years too. So
Jack of all trades.
I am, yeah.
What do you play?
Drums and guitar.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So when photography was always a creative outlet for me. And the first events I ever did, I was doing them on film. So as I started getting older and some of the people that I was playing with in bands, they weren't maturing at the same rate. I had a family I had to support, and I needed to make money, and they were just like, no, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to hit the road, and we're not going to make any money, and we're going to live out of a van. And I'm like, I'm not at that point, dude.
Yeah.
So I kept doing other things, and even when I got into real estate and I was making decent money, it was kind of like I was doing that stuff to fill my photography habit, to buy more stuff, to do more cool shoots and things like that.
Buy the tools.
Yeah. So eventually it got to the point where I was making money off of photography, and in 2006 I did photography full time. When I got into the photo booth business, there was no photo booth software.
Yes.
What year was that? So you were a photographer
I was a
full-time 2006.
2006.
When did you get yourself into photo booths?
Not long after that. I would say probably like 07, 08.
Wow, really? So from the beginning,
really
when they were starting to come up.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when I got into it, literally I was, trying to keep myself busy. I answered an ad on Craigslist. Somebody was looking for a photographer. So I answered the ad. This guy's a buddy of mine now, lives down in San Diego, and he does he's an illustrator. He's worked for comic book companies. He does caricatures at events and stuff. He was so contacted with event planners, they were having him just do extra stuff that he could do. So he was doing photo booth type events using a laptop computer and a camera. And running everything through Photoshop, doing everything manually. Nothing was automated.
Wow.
So he got to the point where he was so busy, he was looking for someone else to take over the photography part of it so he could do some more elaborate stuff on Photoshop.
Right.
So that's how I got started. I would stand there with a camera, with my camera tethered to his computer, and then he was dragging and dropping everything into Photoshop
That's
and
a
doing
lot of
everything
work.
manually.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that's how we got started.
It's a lot of gears moving.
It's a lot of gears moving.
A lot could go
And
wrong, huh?
A lot can go wrong. He was getting big gigs. He called me up one day, and he says, I got a call from NBC.
Wow.
And he said there was a show, Law and Order, that's been on for years. They
Big
had a
show.
series called Law and Order LA that they had just wrapped the first season. And they were filming the wrap party, or they were having the wrap party at the W Hotel on Sunset Boulevard.
Oh, wow.
And they wanted a photo booth that could do mug shots on a mug there on site. And all the companies they were calling, they were saying, we can do that. We can do the photos there. We can do all this stuff, but we have to order the mugs. We
Right.
can't make the mugs on site. And that's not what they wanted. They said, no, these are people coming from all over the country, from around the world. We needed to give them their mugs to take back with them. So he called me up and he says, is this something we can do? And I said, well, ask them for 24 hours. Let me look into it. Let me do some research, and I'll see what I can find. So I came up with all the stuff that we had to buy to do it there on site, the crew, gave him a number. So he called them back. We got the gig. So that's kind of what we became known for, was being able to not only customize, but make things happen that weren't available out there.
Right.
That sounds to
Awesome.
me like it's an activation gig.
It was very much so, and I
Yeah.
didn't know what that was at the time. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's basically what we were doing. Is we were creating stuff from scratch that nobody had done, that other people were saying couldn't be done, and we said we'll find a way to do it.
Well, it seemed like a special order, right? Like a made to order kind of gig. It was like
Yeah.
what Ray was saying, like activation. They're asking for custom stuff right on the spot.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, it was custom on the spot, but we were making the same thing over and over. So like for that one, we had a retractable backdrop that had all the lines for like the height, like you were getting a mugshot.
Oh,
Right.
And people would stand there with a dry erase thing with their name on it and a number, and we would take their photo. And again, at this time, there was no wireless, there were no super long USBs to do that. So we had 2 photographers doing that. We would take out the memory card, hand it to someone else. They
Oh,
would
wow.
run it to this area where we had all the computers and all the
hectic.
heat presses set up. I mean, everything was manual.
So, quick question on that one. How long was the process from taking the picture to getting the actual mug?
It would take. It was about 10 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Per
'Cause-
mug. Wow.
Yeah. So we had 2 photographers. We had 2 people on iMac computers running the stuff, printing it out, and these were printed on. I mean, it's dye sub, so they're inkjet printers. They're because it has to actually transfer the ink to the mug there on site. So they were using these inkjet printers, printing out that transfer. Then they would hand those off to another 2 people who were actually running them through the heat presses. When they come out of that heat press, they're about, I want to say, like 500 degrees.
Wow.
So you have to wear like gloves to handle them. And then we actually brought like a bunch of ceramic tile to put on these tables with a big box fan to cool them off extra fast. Otherwise, you couldn't touch them.
Wow. You guys brought a lot of gear.
We brought a lot of gear, and we had a crew of like, I think 8 or 10 people with us.
Wow. If you don't mind me asking, back then, what year was that?
That was kind of in the beginning. I want to say it was around 07, 08.
Oh
yeah.
wow.
Wow.
How much did you charge for that gig?
It was well into the 5 figures.
Wow.
Oh,
There you
wow.
go.
Shit.
During that time, wow, that's good.
That's
Yeah.
real good.
That's
man.
real
That's
good
a,
during
that's a
that
real
time.
activation right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Because we got started on around 2010. So you
Yeah.
in the photo booth, you were actually doing photo booth way before us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were doing that type of thing. Like one of the things, and a lot of this stuff that he was doing, besides the NBC thing, we were doing bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs in like Beverly Hills, West LA. I mean, these were homes that I had only seen on TV. These
Right.
are,
Yeah.
they're spending a couple $100,000 on a birthday party kind of thing.
Wow.
Wow.
Ridiculous budgets. And we would come in, and one of the things he was known for is he would do these fake IDs for the kids. And it looked just like a California ID, but it would, the address on everybody's thing was 321 Fake Street,
Yeah.
He would have all this funny stuff on it, but it had the picture and the kid's name.
Yeah.
And he would, laminate them and everything on site. It was crazy. He was a very creative guy, did all this cool stuff, and I picked up a lot of stuff and a lot of creativity from him along the way.
What's crazy is some of these kids might be using it to get into those 18 and older clubs.
If they are, whoever's checking IDs was not doing a good job.
It literally said Fake Street.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's cool, man. That's cool.
So, how many events did you do before doing something of that magnitude?
It was easily probably like 20, 30 events
Okay.
before doing something that big.
Awesome.
oh
yeah.
wow.
Wow. So it gave you some repetition for that to set you up for that big one.
Yeah.
Like, because something that big, that's kind of propels your company or business to something further.
Yeah.
Like more opportunities came after that.
Oh yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah. We got a lot of word of mouth on that, and we were getting calls for other big stuff. So
Nice.
yeah.
Right on. Well, as a photographer yourself, why do you think some photographers like yourself should get into the photo booth business?
For me personally, it's a great add-on for
Right.
whatever you're going to do, whether you're
Definitely.
doing weddings, quinceañeras, mitzvahs, private events like that, or you're going into the corporate realm. It's always a great add-on to add on. And for me personally, I always looked at the photo booth from a photographer standpoint. So like all the photo booths I have right now, aside from the 360 booth, we use DSLR cameras.
Oh wow.
So we're always trying to get the highest quality, the best lighting, all this kind of stuff. You know, iPad photo booths are great, and they're getting even better all the time as the iPads get better.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
And they've got their place. We've had some people ask for them, but our specialty has always kind of been the DSLR.
The real
photo
quality
booths.
Right,
photo.
yeah.
Yeah. The one thing with iPad, I think you couldn't blow that picture up
Yeah,
into
it
a,
pixelates.
it's just pixelated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And we get a lot of people that do that. That they contact us after the event, and they're, oh, can we get the individual photos? You know, we
Yeah.
want to blow it up. We want to do.
It
this
makes
and that.
sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not often that they'll get dressed up and they'll be with their entire family
Yeah.
and they'll get that perfect shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I take
Exactly.
family photos with my kids and it's like, why don't you smile? You know, it's like, I don't
Yeah.
feel like it. You know what I mean? It's like, damn. And after the photo shoot, you just don't have a happy, content photos of your
Yeah.
family. So you're stuck with, you just
Right.
got to pick one, you know, and you
Yeah.
put it in your wall and you're like, damn it, you know? And then you get into this photo booth where everybody's happy and you're
Right.
like, I want that. I want to blow that up, you
Yeah.
know? And if
Yeah.
somebody was using a webcam or an iPad,
Yeah.
Pixelate, yeah.
Yeah.
that kind
You
of
know, you're good at like a 4x6 maybe at best.
if you're
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the ones that we're doing, I mean, we've had people blowing up to like 20x30.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you just can't compare iPad with a DSLR,
Right.
especially
Yeah.
with quality, right?
Right.
Well, as a photographer by trade, at the current time now, are you more busy doing the photographer only, or a photo booth, or do you just have a mixture of both as far as the business that comes in?
I have a good mixture, and so like the first half of the year, a lot of my events right now that I do as far as photography, I do a whole lot of corporate, and then I do a lot of sports and dance photography.
Nice.
Oh,
And
awesome.
that's
Good
kind
por-
of
good portfolio, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of seasonal. So when I'm shooting dance, I'm spending half the year. I'm somewhere out of town, flying somewhere like at least 2 or 3 weekends a month. So I'm gone a lot. So at that time, I'm still booking photo booth events, and I have a small crew in my company, my wife, and along with a couple other people that have been with me for a while, and they're doing photo booth events on the weekends while I'm in another state doing photography.
Nice.
Wow, so it's definitely a good add-on to the current business.
Yeah.
It's just adding more revenue to what you're already doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you see it going hand in hand for the most of the events that you're doing already? Like, do you see yourself like at a wedding, you offer a photo booth, and then all of this, or you offer your photography business, and you of course mention your photo booth?
Absolutely. It's always about upselling.
Right.
So
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
whichever way that they're contacting me, I don't do as many weddings and private events as I used to,
Right.
because I focus a lot more on corporate. But the times that I do get calls about it, if they call just about photo booth, I'll ask them, hey, do you have a photographer already? We can bundle a deal, and we
Yeah.
can give you a little better if we put the two together. And the same thing with corporate event. If they call me for a photo booth or anything like that, then I'll say, hey, well, we have event photography. We can photograph your booth. Or if it's the whole event thing that's contacting us, hey, we can take documentation of your whole event and everything and things like that. So we're always trying to upsell back and forth with everything that we do.
Right on. Wow.
That's
So when did you buy your first photo booth then? And which one was that? And how many photo booths do you have now?
The first one I bought was from Ray.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Ray mentioned that he met you a while ago. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the T20.
So
Which
the larger one with the larger
larger
screen.
one.
The
Yeah.
larger one with the larger screen and the big Alien B ring light.
Oh,
Right.
It
yeah.
was
Oh,
the
dang.
big fat.
Yeah.
First
heavy one.
version,
I
for sure.
remember that
First
one.
version, for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, it was so big that once you put the computer and the camera in there, you still had room that you could put like a change of clothes in there. And it was like a locker.
Put your
Yeah.
media
Hide-
kit
Hide
in
your
there.
purse.
Yeah. So, and we still have it. I still
Yeah.
have it to this day.
Wow.
Believe it or not, people are still asking for it. They want
Yeah.
that type of T20. They like the Alien B. They always ask me. They said, "Why did you change the design from Alien B to regular LED lights?" And I said, it got complicated for me to access the Alien B, number one, and number
Yeah.
two, it was just the repair part of it. Because I was buying the Alien B from policy buff, I was held responsible
Yeah.
whenever it goes down.
Yeah.
And then when I'm telling the customers, hey, you gotta wait because I can't get a
Yeah.
repair, or it's like they're getting mad. So
falls on you.
It's a great light, and it puts out a great product.
Yeah.
They can be a little finicky,
yeah,
and yeah, you can only get parts directly from them.
yeah. There's no one
Oh,
else.
really?
but
I've
them.
I've tried buying the bulbs, like even for the modeling light, I've tried buying the bulbs off of Amazon, trying to match them up. They don't work.
Yeah,
There's something
It's
about
not
it.
compatible, huh?
It's not compatible. You have to buy them directly from them.
yeah.
So
And that was the reason why I changed it. But
Yeah.
man, everybody loved it. Those who bought it, they're like, yeah, I still like it. So
when the whole thing came out with Kim Kardashian and her
yeah.
her look with her photo booth, I was pushing that a lot with the T20
nice.
because of that big ring light and the light it gave off.
Yeah.
It gave that really nice looking soft look, and
Oh, wow.
when you would do it in black and white, it had a very similar feel to it.
That's true.
The way it just like wrapped the light around everything, it hit a lot of blemishes and everything naturally without
Wow.
having to run any kind of Photoshop actions or anything.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
true. I do notice that. Like when she started doing the photo booth stuff, like a lot of people started asking me for that too.
Yeah. That was the
Everyone
big
wants
thing
to
for a
do what the
while. When she,
Kardashians
yeah,
do.
when she started posting that, we want the Kardashian booth. Okay,
Yeah.
well, this is what we have, and we'd show them examples. Great, I want that.
Yeah.
Well, it ties hand in hand, right? Entertainment business with our business and what we offer as a service, especially with the likes of Kim Kardashian or any other celebrities out there. When folks see that, they want that same experience.
Yeah.
They want that same look. They want the same photos taken, the same service that they're getting. They want
Yeah.
that, and that's what a lot of our customers like yourself like to provide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Brand sells, huh?
Branding always,
Yeah.
branding is always important. right?
Absolutely.
Early on, as far as getting started with the photography first, what was your first struggles with that, and then afterwards adding the photo booth? What was the struggles with that as well?
I mean, like with any business, it's getting your name out there, and you have to get out there, get some experience. Start a portfolio, start word of mouth, and just be persistent. And we did a lot of discounts in the beginning just to
Okay.
get the
Yeah.
gig, to get our name out there. We try to do the discounts more so for nonprofits. We'd have nonprofits.
So there's
Right.
nothing wrong with that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No, there's not. And there's always a place for it. If we were going to give a discount, we tried to give that discount to a charity event, a nonprofit event. They have a smaller budget.
Right.
So we try and save those for them.
Right.
You
And in
know,
turn, gets you out there, gets
Yeah.
the experience,
Yeah.
yourself, and as well as the people you provided for.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially now with social media, when you're doing stuff for that, you ask them if they have social media. If they're going to post anything, can they tag you? You tag them.
Right.
And it
That's
just
good.
gets your name out there more.
Hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, as far as any struggles when adding a photo booth to the business, or did it kind of just go in stride right away?
I mean, there were some struggles. We were, just because of the experience of photography, I think we did pretty good with it. I mean, there were some struggles that we had with just learning the software, and I mean, it wasn't even struggles; it was just a learning curve.
Yeah.
Breeze software, right?
Yeah, and there were a ton. When the software finally started coming out, there were a few out there, and it was very basic to begin with, and then just trying to figure out what we could do to
Yeah.
give our clients what they wanted. I mean, even with the different softwares that were out there that had the design feature built into the software, we always designed our own templates in Photoshop
Right.
and uploaded them because there was a lot more flexibility with what you can do in customizing it.
Is that with
Yeah.
Breeze back then?
No, I still use most of the time to this day for photo booths. I use a DSLR booth.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So
Were they around back then too?
they were around.
'Cause if I'm not mistaken, Breeze was one of the first.
Breeze is one of the first. They were around for a while. When we made the switch from doing it manually to doing it with software, we looked at a few, and we did DSLR booth. When we tried all the trials, and that was the one that
You still using them?
I'm still using it to this day. I have darkroom booth also,
Yeah.
and I used it I think for 2 or 3 events.
Oh, you didn't like it?
It wasn't that I didn't like it. It's not quite as user friendly
Right.
with the
Okay.
templates and everything. The main reason that I used it was the event we were doing. It was for RuPaul. So it was RuPaul does this event, DryCon, for like the TV show Drag Race. So we were RuPaul's photographer for the VIP meet and greets.
Oh, nice.
And they wanted to be able to print those 8x10s out faster. So we were using DNP dye sub 8x10 printers. And DSLR booth was the only, or, to my knowledge, is still the only software that actually has the drivers built into the program. So you can literally plug in as many printers as you want, and it doesn't matter what USB port you plug them into, and the software just sees it and recognizes it. So you can print, and it just goes down the line of the printers.
Oh, DSLR has that?
I didn't know that.
No, that's Darkroom.
Yeah, Darkroom. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was gonna say I
Yeah,
don't think DSLR has
No,
that.
no, no.
Okay.
We offer both. I know that. I know some of our clients like DSLR booth. Some of them like Darkroom. So we like to offer both and give tutorials and tech support on both. So yeah,
they're both great softwares.
exactly.
It for me, Darkroom booth had a little more of a learning curve trying to get the templates right, and we were so busy and already established with DSLR booth that we just kind of stuck with that.
Yeah. DSLR booth is similar to Breeze software.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. I mean, like the whole, I think just the whole layout of it is almost the same.
Yeah.
So
the one thing that was hard about Breeze was always the parameters, right?
That was
Like you're having to find the parameters.
Well, that was the thing with even Darkroom booth. That was what was tough for me because I was used to with DSLR booth, like you say, okay, here's the print size, and we would make our templates on Photoshop, make them to size, and then just select it, and it would drop it in. And if we had to, expand it or hit the edges, we could do that, and it was real easy. We didn't have to know any parameters. Where with we couldn't do that. To my knowledge, we never figured out how to do it on Darkroom booth. So.
It makes sense because Darkroom is built so that you don't have to create a template from Photoshop. You actually create a template.
That's how I learned how to make templates, was on Darkroom. Like I learned how to make it on their editor, and then I learned Photoshop.
Darkroom is a great software. They actually started out before they did the photo booths. They started out as a photography software for studios.
Right. They had that before,
and we have that too.
Now I heard rumors that Darkroom is actually owned by Photoshop.
That I don't know. I
That's interesting.
I can't confirm that.
Yeah, I've heard that rumors where Darkroom is actually owned by Photoshop. That it was Photoshop who actually developed Darkroom.
I know they're based out of Texas.
Yeah.
And I know when we go to the events, they're very buddy with Imaging Spectrum.
Yeah. yeah.
So that's all I'll say about that.
I mean, there came a point where I started thinking, is Imaging Spectrum Darkroom?
Right. I thought the same thing, but they're both great softwares. And when I do any type of high volume event where we're printing on site, I use Darkroom.
Yeah. We buy tons of Darkroom simply because it's a lot easier and they provide the support for us.
Right.
Yeah, they do have great support. I will give them that.
Yeah.
DSLR booth has gotten better.
Yeah. Well, we started using DSLR booth also.
Right.
I know that we started playing around with that just really recently, because there were a couple of things that we came across on the mirror booth that we sell, and there's like a glare that we couldn't just for the life of us take it out.
On Darkroom, huh?
On Darkroom.
Yeah.
And I remember just...
But for DSLR booth, it was not there. We're like, so is it the software? Is it the camera? We couldn't figure it out.
So we used DSLR booth and boom, problem solved.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made that work.
And that's what I use in my mirror booth that I bought from Ray.
So you have a mirror booth as well?
I do. I have several traditional photo booths.
Right.
They're all the white metal
Kiosk style.
and then I have a mirror booth and I have a 360.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
He bought the 360 from us also at RevoSpin.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well,
Got one
appreciate
as
your
well.
support.
He's not just a customer, he's also a friend.
Well, it seems like you guys met a while ago anyway. Yeah. So I remember Ray mentioning you a lot back then with RBA photo booths. So
Yeah. He's he supported us numerous times.
So how did you guys cross paths?
I don't remember. It's been so long. Yeah.
I think I was just looking, and when I bought the first photo booth, I think Ray was the most responsive of any of the companies out there.
And we hit it off
Yeah.
pretty much, and then just kept in touch.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, I've always looked at your work, and your website and stuff that you do, and I was like, that's pretty cool, And I always knew that there's going to be a part of us that what we do, that somehow it's going to be intertwined with your business. So I figured, even with photography, you know, like when we have a photography needs, as you can see, I still hit you up, and I tell people, you know, hey, if you really want some solid photography, it's not cheap, but call this guy. I mean, this guy is solid, you know. So, I mean, there's, you know, there's different type of photographers out there, and I always say, you know, just like in photo booth, they all vary, you know. So, I mean, what would you say to our viewers who own, say, photo booth, and they're getting these calls for cheap pricing? You know, I mean, what would you say to them? What would be that advice? You know,
I know when you're starting out, it's hard to say no because you want to make money, you want to get out there and get the gigs. And it's understandable, but I would say don't get comfortable there.
Yeah.
If you're gonna give discounts, you know, try to give the discounts to the, you know, the organizations that really appreciate it, and the nonprofits and the charities. They always need some help. I mean, I still have several organizations that we donate photo booths to on a yearly basis.
nice.
You know, for different charities.
But you're already established, though.
Yeah.
For something like that, though, would you exchange for, like, all right, you know, I'll give you a discount, but, you know, when you advertise this on the flyer, like, put our logo on the flyer, or, like, is there any kind of other exchange to make up for the discount?
Absolutely. You know, we always, you know, try to ask them to put us in the program. If they're going to have, like, a slideshow during the event, can you know, add us to your slideshow, announce us. If you have any swag bags you're giving away, can I bring you business cards or postcards or whatever that you can put in the swag bags?
Awesome.
Yeah, anything like that.
Awesome.
Now, you mentioned most of your, I'm not sure if most of your business is corporate. So what you focus on?
Right now, yeah.
Okay, so since we were speaking about pricing, how would you go about somebody trying to get into that realm where they cater to corporate for the more big bucks for the most part, right? How would you give advice to somebody trying to give pricing to corporate? Like, if for some reason Google picks up the phone, calls this person, hey, we needed a photo booth event. How do you go about that kind of pricing?
I try and get as much information from them as possible about their event and what they're looking for, because I don't want to give them a price and they're like, oh, well, we thought this came with it, and we, you know, whatever. I don't want any surprises later on.
Right.
So I try and get a whole overview of what the event's going to be, what they're looking for, what
That's
they
important,
expect.
Right.
I already have in my mind what I normally charge as an hourly or a day rate or whatever, and then I will kind of base it off of that and look at what other expenses I have involved. Whether am I going to a hotel where I'm going to have to pay $75 a day to park there? Am I going to have to drive?
Right, that's important. All the small things are all important.
The little things that are all part of the expense of it. You know, am I driving 2 hours to San Diego? Am I, you know, bringing an assistant with me? Am I going to be there so long I have to buy meals for me and my assistant while we're there? You know, things like that. Those are all things that go into your overhead. You have to put that into your pricing structure. And that's not things that, especially with corporate, they don't want to know all that.
Right.
They just want a number at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
And I think
very rare do they ever say, "Oh, can you itemize every single little
right. Especially with corporate, they're not going to be
They'll
doing
start
that.
questioning those.
Yeah, exactly. So if you just say, "This is what it is. This is what it includes. Here's the number."
Nice.
Yeah, I think where people make mistake the most when they're dealing with corporate is they want it so bad that they price themselves so low because they're looking at the price as themselves. You know what I mean? Like the way they feel about them is what they give. So if they feel like their value is worth $400 or $500, they'll probably say, "Oh yeah, I can do it for like 700 or 800," when really you can squeeze that as much as 10 to 15 grand.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is if you price yourself too low, they're not going to take you seriously. Because a lot of times they're going to be shopping around. So they're getting quotes from other companies where they're saying, "Oh, it's going to be $5,000. Oh, it's going to be $7,000. Oh, it's going to be $10,000." And then you come in, "Oh, I can do it for $800."
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Then they're going to
sell yourself short like that.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to be like, "Yeah, we don't want to deal with the $800."
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's about getting used to it, I guess. You know, because if you're so used to giving out low price, you'll miss the really good events.
And it's all about sales and selling yourself. I mean, that's you've got to. I mean, a lot of my first jobs was all sales, whether it was customer service at a restaurant or whatever. It's learning sales tactics. There's lots of great books out there on that. One of the first books I ever read on that was Zig Ziglar, Service That Sells.
Yeah, I read his book.
And for me, I worked at a restaurant that was required reading. I worked at a TGI Fridays.
Yeah.
And it was all about selling the sizzle, all about the upsell, all about, all that stuff. That
I love Zig.
Yeah, I put all that stuff into.
So you applied a lot of that, what you learned.
Everything of that goes into
what
my
you're doing
business.
now. Oh wow,
absolutely. So
that's good. That's good to learn from those kind.
And
of
for
things.
those who don't read or who don't like reading, Zig, you can actually watch his YouTube. And that's how I watch, that's how I got to know a lot about Zig's content. I mean, I bought his book, from Amazon, and I probably read maybe 3 or 4 pages and just stopped.
Yeah.
Just because I'm not the reading type,
Audiobooks are great.
Audiobooks.
I do tons of audiobooks when I'm driving instead of listening to the radio.
Yeah.
I'll either listen to an audiobook or a podcast. When I'm flying, I will download the audiobook.
Oh yeah.
Like
listen to it on the flight.
I
smart.
There was a book that I wanted, and I'm the same way. Like I'll read a few pages or a chapter, and I start getting like sleepy or whatever. I'm not a big reader, but I will listen to an audiobook and I will retain it a lot better.
Yeah, same here.
So I did that. There was a book I wanted by Chase Jarvis, who's a great photographer. He started, I forget his website, but it's a whole creativity forum kind of thing for photographers and other creative people.
That's awesome.
And he had this book about recharging your creativity and how he got started in this and that. So man, this is a great book. I heard about it, so I want to get it. So I had a gig up in, where was I going? I was going up to Oregon.
Oh, wow.
So I drove up to Oregon. I knew it was going to be about a 12-hour drive. I was driving in one day, and I said, okay, I'm going to get this. And I listened to the whole book for the ride.
Wow.
So
Turn it
instead
into
of the
a
radio,
lesson.
instead of Sirius, I put that on, and I was listening to that the whole ride up.
Yeah, that's actually a good advice. Like when I take drives going to Vegas, I always say when people goes, oh, you're gonna go there by yourself, I would say, no, I'm going there with Grant Cardone. I'm going there with Tony Robbins.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like there's always something that you can learn from people, and they're willing to put it out there. So the very least you can do is just listen. I watch Zig Ziglar, his YouTube, and I was hooked. I couldn't do the book, but as I was watching him, I can actually relate to what he was saying, and a lot of the stuff that he was saying about sales made a lot of sense. Putting value before you put the price, all of that stuff. It was great. So having to learn from people who are actually great salespeople are a great way to polish your selling skills.
Right.
I mean, all about this business, that's a lot of what we're doing is we're selling our service. We're selling ourselves.
The experience that you provide. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's all about, and it even comes down to, selling the sizzle. It's how you express it and how you talk about it.
That's important for sure.
If you're up against someone else who's bidding on it and they just say, oh, I've got this photo booth and it takes pictures and prints and I charge $200 an hour.
Yeah.
But if you get on the phone with them and say, hey, I've done events for Skechers, I've done events for Disney, we've done all these activations.
That's selling the sizzle, because that's better off doing that than just being so basic. Like, I could do this, I could do that. It'll print on the spot. I can be there for 6 hours. Here's your price. Instead of somebody that's explaining the whole experience that they can't have. Because like what Ray always says, you got to find that special person that they're doing that event for, right? And see how important that event is for them. And then that goes in with pricing too. If it's a really important event, whether it's corporate or whether it's a birthday in the backyard or a wedding, these are all important events for people. So that's how you can go about pricing as well.
Oh yeah.
You got to find the value. There's a reasons why people throw these parties. For corporate, there's a reasons why they're doing that event. I mean, is it for their branding purposes, or is it for the people? Like for instance, the gig that you were doing with the mug and everything. I highly doubt they were doing that for branding, because if it was, I don't know, man, because I'm looking at that and how many people can you print, if it takes 10 minutes?
Yeah, no, it wasn't so much like a branding activation to get the name out there for the public. It was literally the wrap party. There were few cast members, but it was a lot of crew members. So it was like their thank you to them, and
There's
they wanted
always-
to put their best thing they could to them.
Oh yeah, so that is a special.
There is always a reason behind everything that people do. If it's a wedding, obviously it's the bride and the groom.
Mhm.
You know, if it's quinceañera, it might not always be the quinceañera girl you're trying to impress, but the person who's probably hiring you is the
Yeah.
person that's, you know what I mean. There's always that special somebody that you gotta pay much more attention to in order for you to get the best out of it. In terms of the
Yeah.
pricing.
And I feel like that's great too because like I've done a few corporate events last year, and then you talk to them, they get excited over their event, and they're like, we're gonna have a Ferris wheel. We think like the 360 would look great right there.
Mhm.
And then you give them, like, after they give you all this and they excite themselves talking about the event, you give them the price, and then they were like, oh, that's kind of high. Let me see. And then we already sold them on the experience, so now they're talking to like accounting to squeeze more for the budget,
Right.
because now they're
Yeah.
like, all right, this person sees the picture, like they know exactly what I want. I don't want to have to recreate this conversation with someone else who might not be able to fulfill it, and then I'm just wasting all this time. Let me just get the budget extended, and then so they weren't able to meet our budget, but then they were like, well, if we comp you 2 nights, and then we're like, all right, it makes up, because now it's less things we're wasting
Less
money on.
expense for you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
always ways of working things out.
I had a similar thing. It wasn't a photo booth client, but it's one that I have coming up. It's for a corporate event where we're doing group photos on site. It was a company that basically they've rented out this whole golf course for the day in Vegas, and they
awesome.
wanted group photos and headshots of people.
Oh, wow.
And I said, okay, we're gonna do this, and this is the price. And they're like, oh, that's a little bit more than we were expecting. Is there any way we can get the price down?
Yeah.
And I said, well, this is our day rate, and at that point, then I'll go a little more detail and justify it. I said, we're doing this, we're doing this group photo of this many people. We need risers, so we're going to see everybody's face in the photo, and we're going to bring lights so that way there's no, unflattering shadows or anything. We want to have fill lights so everybody looks their best in the photo, and then the same thing for the headshots. If you're going to do headshots, you want something that people can use. We're going to bring the studio lights so that way people get the best headshot possible. And then they were like, well, what if we did it outside with no riser? And what if you didn't have to bring the lights? And I said, well, I don't want to do you that disservice. If I'm going to put my product out there with my name on it, I'm not going to give you a lesser product just to get a lower price.
Right.
My name's going to be on that. That's my reputation. And I want to give you the best product possible that I can.
Yeah. I've had customers that said the same thing before. I always said, you know what? We're not the cheapest. If you are just doing this based on pricing and the lowest you can get, I know a place where it's a lot cheaper than us, like half as cheap, but you will never get the same type of quality service. You'll never get the same type of quality products. And I said, that's why China exists.
Yeah,
You can get it there.
I saw something recently too where this guy was saying, he's like, this is what I always tell my clients, is like, there's 3 things. You can get cheap, fast, or quality, but you can't have them all.
Right.
So which one do you want? Do you want quality? Do you want cheap? Or do you want something fast?
Right.
So, most of the time they're going to be like, well, I want quality. And if you want cheap, then maybe I'm not the person for you. But best of luck.
Right.
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
All 3 of those is all hits it. All hits it.
Yeah. If you could do them all, then more power to you. But usually cheap and quality don't intertwine,
Well, it gets people thinking, right, what they really want at their event.
Yeah.
Now, can you speak on the importance of social media for your business?
Absolutely. And that's one area that I am still learning and still growing.
Right. Okay.
But social media in this day and age is essential.
Yeah.
It's mandatory, because that's where everything is going to. Right now we're focusing all our efforts into social media and doing a big push for that. We're not necessarily rebranding. We're not changing that much of a look of it, but we're restructuring our social media part. We're adding some automation and things, so that way we're not necessarily trying to post every single day.
Right.
There's a lot of great programs out there. I've been working with someone who's coaching me on that, and using a few automated programs to where I can sit down for an hour or 2 one day and set up 4 or 5 days worth of posts.
Oh, wow.
All at one time, and that way I can do that
On schedule
them.
now. Oh,
yeah,
nice.
schedule them,
Nice.
and then they will go out one a day.
Oh, man. I
Is
didn't
that
know,
like,
I didn't know anything like that existed.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that
yeah.
subscription based or?
I mean, they have a free service. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. I I can get it, and then if you want to post it like in the link later
That'd
on
be cool.
at the end,
Yeah.
that way everybody else can have it. But there was a free version of it that they limit like how many posts and what you can put, and then there were like 2 or 3 levels of subscription service.
Nice.
So
Awesome.
That's cool. That's good.
So-
Some good options.
So something like that, just to touch deeper into it. So like, basically, you'll focus one day in creating all the content that you want posted throughout the week. Or
yeah, I mean, you can spend as much time as you want. The person who was coaching me on it, she was doing the same type of thing for one of my corporate clients, and she, was walking me through it. And this was something I don't do very often, but I did it with her. We did a trade shoot. She's rebranding her business, so I helped her out by doing a photo shoot for her, and then she in turn was spending time with me, teaching me about all these new social media things. And she was the one who put me onto this program. It's a web-based program, and she's like, you can try it out and do the free version first, and it'll let you do so many a month, and then if it works out, then you can do the subscription where you'll be able to do more. But yeah, she said, she sits down with hers, and she does, I think she said she spends like a couple hours, and she'll have all the photos set up, and have all the short copy and whatever that she's going to put on each post, and sets it all up within a couple of hours, and just schedules it for the whole week.
Oh,
So instead of spending time every day and thinking about, what am I going to post today? What am I going to
Yeah.
do? No, I'm in this mindset.
You're in a zone with
I'm
the
in a
social
zone, and
media.
I'm going to get it
Yeah.
all done right now,
That's
and
smart.
then I'm going to move on to something else that is,
Yeah, that's smart. It's one less thing
Yeah.
you got to worry about every day.
Absolutely.
I think that's someone everyone could use.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
No, it's a good way to leverage your time. You're
Time
busy
is
doing-
money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
course.
Yeah.
I agree on that.
What works best for you in terms of getting customers or new clients?
I mean, we've been blessed. We're getting a lot through referrals right now.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth. Past clients refer other people to us.
Yeah, that's strong.
So that works great for us. We have a lot of past clients that call us up on a regular basis and just say, hey, it's time to book that event again. So we get a lot of that, but we still do some. We use some lead generation sites. There's a couple sites that we use. That's funny because we've gotten some of our biggest corporate clients off of there.
Really?
One of them is Thumbtack.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Thumbtack.com.
Right.
Especially if you're just starting out. I mean, you have to pay a little bit of money for it.
Yeah.
But it's a little more of an immediate response to get your return on investment.
Right.
Not just putting Google ads out there and let's see what sticks.
Yeah.
Right.
Here you're actually getting people that are posting, hey, I'm looking for a photographer, I'm looking for a photo booth, I've got a wedding, I've got, whatever. So you go on there and you bid on it. And Thumbtack is kind of cool because you can set it up to where you can bid on it and you don't have to pay anything unless they actually respond to you.
That's good.
So that's a good way to start out. I still use them sometimes. I also use Bark. Bark is based on credit. So you buy credits up front, and you have to use those credits to actually bid on the jobs.
Wow.
But with that one, you immediately get their phone number and their email.
Oh,
So
solid leads.
solid leads, they're verified. So as soon as you do it, you can send them an email if you want, or you can pick up the phone and call them up right there. It's
That's
okay.
called Bark?
Bark.com.
Bark.
Oh, wow.
I think I
check that one
saw a
out.
commercial on TV about them.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but if they're doing commercials, they must be very big.
Doing
Yeah.
something right.
Both of them have done.
Thumbtack, yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
that. We've used that before in the past as well.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, when did you start first using Thumbtack?
Oh man, I used it from the beginning. I found it right
okay.
away when I was using Thumbtack. It was a completely different model, and I missed those days because you would pay a monthly fee
Yeah.
and just bid on anything you wanted.
Yeah.
I think I started out paying like $40 a month, and you would just bid on as many as you wanted. But as they got bigger and they grew their base, then they changed the model to, okay, now you have to pay per lead. And when we were using it a lot, we got to the point where just on Thumbtack, I think we were spending like $1,000 a month on leads on Thumbtack. But our return on investment was we were averaging about 10 grand a month.
Oh
Wow.
wow! So you're
tenfold.
10xing. Yeah.
Literally tenfold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was,
Worth it.
to me, that was a good investment.
Might have to
Yeah.
retouch on Thumbtack.
Thumbtack
while.
out there.
Yeah.
Any of the viewers want to try that out? If you haven't, I think it's a pretty good platform. I know we've
Yeah.
used it in the past.
Yeah, in the
and
past
obviously
we
with
used it a
Will
lot.
here, it's very successful.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
mean,
good.
you get out of it what you put into it too. And don't read too much into, if you go on Facebook, there's groups for everything. There's groups about Thumbtack, and there's groups about this and that. And there's always people out there complaining
Yeah.
about stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? you get out of it what you put into it.
Yeah.
If you go into it with a positive mindset and you go into it with a plan, not just, oh, I'm going to buy the lead and I'm going to sit back and wait for them to call me.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I am proactive about it. If I have their phone number, I'm going to call them right away. Even with Thumbtack, if I don't get their contact information right away, I'm going to be sending them messages every day. Hey, I just wanted to follow up. You know, did you have any questions, anything? Till I get that response back from them. And then once I get that response, then I get their contact information.
Yeah, I think that's really important too. You touch base on positive mindset. There's a lot of people out there that they make it a career to complain. You know what I mean? It's like, geez, you know, it's just a never ending. And for me, I've always had this pet peeve that you know, negativities are garbage, and I just leave them out. But a lot of people that I know, they kind of live by it. You know, the minute they wake up, they're, you know, they feel that negative energy, and that dictates their whole entire day's output.
There's some people that are just not happy unless they have something to complain about.
Yeah,
You know, that's
completely.
I try my best, and I have days.
we all have those.
Oh, everybody has a
We
bad
all
day.
have
Yeah.
those, yeah.
But you know, I try and live my life the complete opposite. Like I was just doing an event, and I always trips people out when I do this. We were doing an event in Vegas. We were doing headshots for this corporate event, and people come, hey, how you doing? And they just, you know, they expect, oh, I'm okay, whatever. I answer them, I'm amazing.
Yeah.
And they look at me, what?
What?
I'm amazing. How are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they look at me like,
Catch
oh,
them off guard.
yeah, it throws them off, but it puts them in that more positive mindset.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean you're amazing? And I'm like, well, life is what you make it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So if I'm amazing, my
Yeah.
life's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
good. That's good.
Little things
yeah.
like that go a long way.
goes
Like,
a long
It does.
even
yeah.
even like when I go to like drive through, you know, I go to Pollo Loco or something, like order my food. I'm like, hey, I appreciate you. You have a wonderful day, and then people just get thrown off because they're used to people just being like, grab it and like not even acknowledge them, you know.
Right.
So they're like, oh,
Well, that goes hand in hand with business, right? You want to make sure you're just like positive about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all go through those moments. There's not. I mean, it's not like every day you're gonna be happy and you'll have this
Right.
positive attitude.
Right.
Like I go through it, and when I'm feeling those days, you know, like my wife goes, "What are you doing? Watching? What are you watching? So early? You're watching Dave Chappelle or these comedies?" And I'm like,
Just trying to snap out of a
you
mood.
know, I'm trying to snap out of the mood. And usually a lot of comedians, because I like comedies, you know, and you know, I watch a lot of those. And in the morning, I just find myself giggling. And believe it or not, it gives me that positive vibe. You know what I mean?
I do the same kind of thing. I do it the other way. I end my day with funny stuff and positive stuff. I get up early in the morning. Like right now, the kids just went back to school.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I get up in the morning with them, you know, make sure they have breakfast, make sure they get off. And I will start my day with emails. I'll start my day off with something. Because, I mean, I have clients on the East Coast, too.
Yeah.
So maybe 5 or 6 o'clock here, but it's 8 or 9 o'clock for them.
True.
So I need to jump on it.
Yeah.
So I try to start my day off with something positive, business mind. Even if I'm going to watch videos, I'll pull up Mastermind, the website, and I'll watch something off of there, something that's going to, you know, help me grow.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of a thing. And then, you know, when I end the day, when I'm ready to unwind, then I'll throw on comedies or I'm a foodie, so I'll put on like barbecue shows.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm the
You
same
know,
way. I can relate.
Yeah, he cooks a mean steak.
Yeah, that and then whatever gets you get your mind off of things. You know?
Yeah.
Like every day is not going to be the same. You know, some
different
days are
for
going to be more
everybody.
stressful than the others.
Yeah.
Some days are going to be more successful than others. But as long as you strive for greatness for yourself and your business,
Yeah.
you know, it shouldn't. You shouldn't fail. You know, you'll make some mistakes along the way, but you know, whether you're a photographer, photo booth, or 360 guy, or everything that this guy does, you know, you know, just try to stay away from the negatives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I feel like too, like your business is not gonna do great if you're not doing great. So sometimes maybe
Yeah.
take some time off for yourself. Make sure you know you're in a good place, because then it's gonna transfer over to your business. And
Right.
It is, and you need. Sometimes you do need, when you're doing that much work, you need that disconnect.
Yeah.
You know, it was funny, and my wife was kind of getting upset about it, that every trip we were taking for a while was work related. So, you know, I'd come into the office and I'd be, hey, hon, you know, we're gonna go to Dallas, we're gonna do this and that, whatever. Oh, great. Well, no, but we're gonna work. Or like the last one was the final straws. You know, it was. She wanted to go to Vegas just to
Right.
get away before the kids went back to school.
Unplug. Yeah.
To unplug. And I was like, okay, great. And then all of a sudden I had clients calling me that, hey, next time you're in Vegas, let me know. You know, I need this, I need that. I was like, okay.
Actually.
Yeah.
I'm
so,
here.
I told my wife, oh, we're gonna go for a week, but like the first day, I've got this one company that wants headshots, and this other company wants photo booth for client appreciation, and she wasn't having it. She was upset. So I said, okay, we're going on a cruise.
There you go.
I can't do anything on a cruise.
That you can't do. Yeah, that you can't do. You
Until
don't
the
have
cruise asks for a
internet.
photo booth.
Yeah, and you don't even have.
Don't tempt me.
And you don't even have internet there. Like you could, but it's like how much?
I did, and I bought like the most expensive package, and I could barely send emails.
Yeah.
Oh man, was
Like
it
they were
worth it, huh?
they were advertising, oh, you can stream and you can watch Netflix and this and that.
Yeah.
And I was trying to finish out events and like upload photos and stuff, and I had to like leave it overnight. And, like,
Oh,
wouldn't
man.
do anything.
Wow.
That's dreadful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at least hopefully that cruise was a good
It was
unwind.
Absolutely.
A
Everybody
reset button. Everybody needs that.
It was a good reset. Everybody came back relaxed and happy, and it was a very good experience.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, dang. Hopefully, I'll try that soon with a cruise. Because usually every time I'm out too or traveling, it's always work in mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I
That's-
mean, I've traveled a lot with Ray, and then even as he travels with family, he's always finding a way to do business wherever he's
Yeah.
at.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always important. Think about yourself sometimes, and being good with yourself, and just make sure you're in a good place so your business runs
Yeah.
well.
Absolutely.
I think that's good to know that. I used to feel like I was the only one dealing with that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I'll be out having dinner, I'm like, all right, cool, no work. Or like, there's times where I'm like driving, like, take the kids to like the arcade or, like those jump houses or whatever
Yeah.
they got. And then halfway through, I get a call, last minute event, they're paying top dollar. And I'm like,
It's the life of the entrepreneur. It never stops.
yeah.
Life of a businessman is always business,
So I was
man.
like, hey, you guys want to do this next time? We could go laser tagging after. Like,
Yeah.
all right, cool. But, like.
Yeah,
the
there's been
missus
several
not too
times where I
happy.
pissed off my wife. We'd be out having dinner at some restaurant, and I'd be like, "Hold that thought,"
Yeah.
and I'd walk out.
That's the thing with us with the kids, because my kids aren't as bad as others I've seen, but you always, you go to a restaurant, and the kids are on the phone or on the
Oh,
iPad
yeah.
or whatever.
Right.
Nobody's talking to each other, so we try to make it a point of, okay, whether we're at home or out, okay, we're sitting at the dinner table, no phones, let's
Yeah.
let's
It
have
gets
a
bad.
conversation.
Yeah.
But then they'll look at me, but Dad's on his phone.
Yeah,
Well, Dad's working.
Yeah.
Dad's
Yeah.
making so we can go out to eat.
my kids they
Yeah,
have their phones
exactly.
when they're eating, and believe it or not, they be texting each other, and I'm like, "This is silly, guys.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you just talk? You're sitting there, and she's sitting there." And I can tell you guys are texting each other
Yeah.
on the dinner.
That's the new reality. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of the things, and that was a nice thing about the cruise too, because
Yeah.
and they knew that I got the email or the Wi-Fi for myself, but I didn't get it for them. So
Wow.
they couldn't text their friends or stream or anything. So no YouTube or Instagram. So
Finally got some quality time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
That's good, man. I'm glad.
So in the photo booth business, what is your favorite part about it?
for me, I like to be able to do things that other people say that can't be done.
Nice.
I like customizing things. I like finding a way to
Not be standard and normal.
yeah.
Right.
Whether it's different lighting or different whatever
Different setting, different. Yeah.
I mean, I've used my photo booth software for other things besides photo booths.
Really?
Mm.
Yeah.
I use it for headshot stuff, so people can send their photos to themselves right
Wow.
there on the spot.
Oh wow, that's,
Um,
that's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
There's other ways to use that same platform
Yeah.
for other parts of the business. So
Right. Well, yeah, that's very smart actually to use that product you already have in different ways.
Yeah.
Now it's generating money in 2-3 different ways
Yep.
instead of just a photo booth.
absolutely.
Oh well, that's the craft of your photography, I think. It keeps you creative because that's what you got to do, right? Always got to be creative within the business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That's always important for sure.
Yeah.
Well, in 5 years from now, where do you see yourself as far as the business?
Buying whatever the latest and greatest thing Ray has, for sure, probably. Whatever the new thing is.
We'll try to come up with something new.
That's always a good risk, guys. So if you guys are ever in the market for anything photo booth or 360 related,
But I mean, just keeping on top of things and growing
Right.
growing my team and my inventory, and I've had several events where and that was actually when I bought the 360 from Ray. I had a client for a corporate event in San Diego
Right.
that said, "What do you have? How much do you have?" I
Right.
was like, "Well, I have this, 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 and this." And she's like, "Well, I saw this new 360 thing."
And that was it.
And I was like, "Okay." And, basically I charged her for that event. I think I charged her like double what it cost to buy it.
Oh,
So
man.
the first event I paid for. Well, because it was like a multi-day
Cha-ching.
event.
Yeah.
Money back.
It was a multi-day event.
Yeah.
Right.
So she
But it's
had-
expected though because
Yeah.
of the quality that you've been providing out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
So like for that event, they hired us for 2 photo booths, a mirror booth, a 360 booth, and event photography.
Wow, nice.
So
Wow.
Wow.
So on an average month, how many events are you doing? Are you more like volume now? But me, it seems like from my standpoint, it seems like you just pick and choose. the
right
ones that
now,
are gonna-
right now we pick and choose.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
That's good.
We used to be volume.
Okay.
Like we had at one point, we had when we were doing a lot more private events like bar mitzvahs and stuff, we had a party planning company that we worked with that they would call us up and say, "Okay, we have 12 bar mitzvahs on the books, so we're going to
Oh,
give you
awesome.
dates." And they'd give us dates and give us locations, and we write up all the contracts, send them out, and get 12 deposits all at one time.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, and we were doing, almost every weekend we had something going out or multiple things going out. So,
Right.
but now, we still do some of those, and especially for clients like that, we've had to up our prices, on some things, and sometimes that helps when you get too busy. If you're that busy that you, not that it's bad to be busy, but if you're busy to the point where you don't have time to step back and take a breath, sometimes you got to look at your pricing structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that was the time.
It's always good to tweak things if you need to.
Yeah. So that was the time that we raised our prices, and there were some clients that didn't call as often, but they would call for the events that had the right budget for it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Information.
Always have good to be able to adapt to things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Especially in the business that we're in, things change left and right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What are some of the things that, aside from pricing change? I mean, you said yourself you have a team now with you, right? Of course. How did you pick and choose the team that's right for your company? Like, there's going to be some photographers out there, some photo boothers out there that are growing.
Right.
How did you go about that?
So for me, it was my number 2 guy is someone that I've known for 10 years. I met him while I was doing photography for a football league in my city. And he was one of the parents, and he had a nice camera, and he was doing photography, and we just started talking. And he's still, to this day, he has another day job.
Oh wow.
But anytime I call him and say, "Hey, we've got a gig, as long as it's available, as long as he's available, he'll come and do it with us." And we've been working together for like 10 years now. And I have other people that I work with regularly that have been referrals from other people, friends. Some of them started out from a photography standpoint, and then, I said, "Hey, you want more work? I can have you doing photo booths too. I can keep you busy."
Yeah.
Things like that. We've had a couple people come in and out that we hired off of like Craigslist,
Really?
and never
Right.
had good.
Didn't really stick.
It didn't pan
stick.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. The name itself,
Yeah.
Craigslist.
Well, Craigslist was good back then, but now I think for like employment, maybe not so.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll hit and miss, 100%.
Right.
Right.
So we've still used it on occasion when we have a big event that we just need a couple extra hands.
Yeah.
It's good for that. But
Some of
we
your permanent guys are from.
not and for us, everybody's like independent contractors. Nobody's full time.
Yeah.
So because everything is event based, and
Yeah.
it's
Seems like it makes it easier.
it does,
Yeah.
and especially when COVID hit and shut everything down, it just
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
that for
I
us
can see
it didn't change a whole lot because those guys all had day jobs, so I didn't have
Okay.
to worry about that.
Yeah.
Cool.
I just had to worry about where my money was coming from. That's all I
Well,
did.
speaking of COVID, while we're on the subject, I mean, obviously, it halted the world in its tracks like that. Right?
Yeah.
How did your business do during that time, and how did it survive? Obviously.
Oh my gosh. it survived by a prayer and by the help of family and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it was literally like I had come home from an event, I think in Atlanta, and I came in late, and I woke up, and we all knew that there was like this bad flu that everybody was talking about that was going around. So at that time, I was shooting a bunch of dance stuff, and we had like viewing stations that people would come see their action photos, and they kept telling us, "Oh, bring extra hand sanitizer and bring disinfectant wipes." That hadn't got to the mask point yet.
Oh yeah.
But panic was starting.
But it was like, oh, just to keep yourself from from getting sick yourself, just have these things around. And it was to the point where some of that stuff was kind of hard to find, and I was like,
I remember.
So then
A lot of people panic buy.
yeah, that last event, I came home, and I get up in the morning, get my coffee, I'm watching the news, and I see, this is canceled, and that game is canceled, and we're canceling this for a week, and now we're canceling this for a month, and
Holy shit.
it just everything started happening, and then all of a sudden my email started going off, and it was, we're gonna have to postpone this, we're canceling this, we're doing that. We were very blessed that anybody that had paid us a deposit, all of our clients were very understanding of everything. Nobody asked for money back. We told them that anybody who had paid any money to us, you will have full credit to put towards any event that you have later on in the future when everything goes back to normal, or as normal as it is. And I think we've finally gone through all that where we're all caught up with everybody.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it got to the point where I was ready to I told my wife, I said, all right, I'm going to have to go out and get a job just so we have money. And she was like, no. She's like, everything's going to come back.
Yeah.
Right.
And you need to be available.
Right.
Yeah.
So she actually stepped up. She's like, no, I'm going to call up my old boss, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to get, a job for now. Because she had a regular job for years. And she had, when the busier we got, and she was having to take days off to go on trips with me and stuff, she finally got to the point where she quit working, and she worked for me and was a stay-at-home mom. So she went back to work for a little while during all this. And I just had this feeling that because events had been closed for so long, that once it came back, especially corporate events, they have all this money.
Big waves.
It came back in a big way.
Yeah.
And it came back, and they were like,
And it
we
did.
want the biggest and best and whatever you got, and we got to wow everybody to get everybody back in the event and everything. So she's like, you need to be ready for that.
Yeah.
And, I still thank her for that kind of stuff, that, because it was tough. I mean, especially, being the guy, the whole stereotypical thing that, providing for the family and everything. And she was like, no, you need to be ready. She's like, I will, go back to work for now.
Yeah.
And I had help from, my dad helped me out with stuff. And after they finally changed a couple things, we got the PPP and things like that helped. So, but once things started coming back, and it hit in a big way. And we had all these past clients calling us back. We're like, all right, let's book this, let's book that. We need this and add this on.
There it was.
Yeah.
Came back.
It halted for us too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where we got busy enough again that my wife was like, all right, I'm quitting.
Yeah.
And she's,
Well, that's very
back at
fortunate
home.
to be able to survive that time,
Yeah.
that COVID time where everything was closed and obviously no events.
Yeah, there was no business coming in for us as well. I remember I almost opened up a pizza place right here. Because during the COVID, really, the only thing that was working are fast food restaurants.
Well, you would have had a photo booth in there anyway.
My wife was like, are you crazy? She's like, look, baby, I'm desperate. I mean, at this point, there's really no business coming in, and I can understand that because a lot of the events have stopped because our government it's not that it stopped. Our government stopped it. You couldn't go out. You couldn't do anything. You know what I mean? But people were always trying to find ways to be together. It didn't matter what.
And it was open in other states a lot earlier than it was for us.
Right.
California
was one of the last states.
It was one of the last ones.
To
Miami was going crazy the whole.
I feel like Miami,
Atlanta.
Well, all of Florida, they were like.
I feel like Miami or Florida closed only 1 week.
Yeah.
Right, and they're like, all right, forget it.
Yeah.
Even Vegas, I remember coming into Vegas, and I was wearing my mask in the plane. And the minute I got out, it's like it didn't even exist.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember Vegas seeing it, man. It was like a ghost down there.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's something to see.
The mask thing wasn't even that big of an issue because as much as I was flying and traveling, It was something I saw in the airport on a regular basis. You would
Right.
see people coming in from other countries.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they were wearing masks.
When I used to travel a lot overseas, I mean in the airplanes I was always wearing a
Yeah.
mask.
Yeah.
I mean might as well.
Yeah.
That's me.
Where it first became real for me was I was heading to the Philippines with my dad for my cousin's wedding, and LAX literally you could literally count the people that was there.
Yeah.
Literally, like, holy shit.
That's a miracle, man.
Yeah.
It was so weird. It was so eerie too.
When I started traveling again, it was like that. I got the call from the company that we do dance photos for, and they were like, "Hey, everything's open in other states. If you want to travel, we've got work." And I was like, "Heck yeah, let's go."
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd go to LAX, and I mean, it was like a ghost town.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then I remember one day, I went, and this was still when like most of the stuff in the terminals was closed.
Yeah.
And they still had the whole thing of every other seat. You
Yeah,
sit
yeah,
in,
yeah, yeah.
that whole thing.
I bet tickets were pretty
That's
cheap though.
true.
They were
Oh,
dirt
yeah.
cheap then. But then one day I showed up, and like my wife was like, "Oh, she had something to do with the kids. She's like, I'm going to drop you off a little early, a couple hours early." I said, "No problem." So I get in there, and I get through security, get to the terminal, and it looked like the LA bus depot.
Oh, man.
It was just crowded beyond belief.
Wow.
I think all the people started using like their vouchers of canceled stuff to go places.
Right.
There was like one restaurant open that had
Dang.
no seating, and the line was going all the way down the terminal.
Damn.
So
I hate to be in that place.
I saw it, and I was like, I can't do this. And I fly American a lot, and I saw their club, the Admirals Club,
Yeah.
and I went in there, and I was like, can I buy a day pass?
Yeah.
And I went in there, and I was like, this is amazing. It was quiet. People aren't
Yeah.
yelling at each other, and I can get food and actually sit down and eat it. And
Yeah. Well,
That's
if you
smart
have,
move.
If you have American Express, they'll let you in.
I have that now, and I got the credit card for American Airlines to get the free
Yeah.
membership for that. So
Because I like on domestic flights, I have the Amex, and they just let me in.
yeah,
And you actually, I think you can bring a guest, up to one guest.
Oh, that's
American or Amex, you can bring one. With American Airlines,
Yeah.
I can bring 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So I have that, and then I also have Delta, but I paid for that one for the yearly just because I do like their lounges.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
Delta's cool. I like
it's-
flying Delta.
It's worth it. Some people would say, "Oh, it's not worth it," but the reality is, it is. At some point, you have to ask yourself, what are you willing to pay for?
Yeah.
Well, I looked at it as though if I'm going to go to the airport, if I'm going to sit down somewhere in there, if I'm going to have a burger and
Right.
a drink, whatever,
It's
I'm
the
going to
same
spend.
price.
I mean, airport prices
$30, $40.
40,
now.
$50.
Yeah.
And the day pass for the Admirals Club was, I think at the time it was $60,
Yeah.
and it was quiet. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay,
Peace of mind. pay
that's
for-
worth it to me.
And there's some lounges that you could actually take a shower.
Yeah.
Like I used to go to China a lot, and then I would fly in as China Southern, and they actually had a room where there's a massage. Like,
Oh wow.
that was
That's
bitchin'.
cool.
It was like a hotel, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And I remember going into another room with my friend, and it had its own like theater. You know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
it's so crazy. I was like, I wanted to live there. Like, the food is all custom. You walk in and they'll make the food for you.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole entire thing, the whole experience was like, damn, this is so far different from all the lounges that we've been through. And I was
Yeah.
like, so every time we go to overseas, I always take China Southern, because specifically because of that lounge.
Can't
you
go
know.
wrong with that kind of
You can sleep.
relax
They wake you
before a
up.
flight.
Yeah.
I remember I had a long layover because I messed up on my booking and I didn't realize that the layover was that long. I remember sleeping and they woke me up.
Oh wow.
Start your flight.
They said, they knocked in the door and it's weird, man. It was just better lounges.
Yeah.
Well, thank God COVID stuff is over as far as
Exactly.
restrictions, right? We're back in
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap this up, if you can, Will, give some advice, any advice to photographers that are also photo boothers or photographers that are about to be photo boothers. Any advice you can give them to the viewers?
Absolutely. I mean, going either way, whether it's photography or photo booth, I always tell people you need to know your equipment.
Okay.
Know your equipment, know your software.
Get the repetition in.
Yeah, know what it's capable of, but also what the limits are. You don't want to
that's important,
overpromise,
yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you get there, and it's not going to deliver what I thought it would.
That's
For
good,
either
yeah.
one, photography or photo booth, no lighting, because anything where you're taking a photo, lighting is
Everything.
everything.
Yeah.
You know,
Doesn't matter how expensive your camera is. But
exactly.
if your lighting's shitty.
If your lighting's not cutting it,
Yeah.
you could have a $10,000 camera, and it's you're going to get a crappy photo. And have backups.
Right.
Have a
That's
backup,
important
have a
too.
backup
Very
plan,
important.
have backup equipment whenever you can, even backup software.
Because anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the event that I just did in Vegas for the headshots, I had a whole other thing I was going to do to deliver the headshots.
Yeah.
And when I got there, it didn't work
Wow.
at all.
Oh, man.
And I said, I've got a backup. I've got DSLR booth. So we ran the headshots through DSLR booth, and people were able to email the photos themselves right there on the spot. And the client was ecstatic about it.
That's
Wow.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's
good.
some really good advice.
Good advice.
Yeah, so
So-
hopefully you guys take that in and caught some good knowledge from our guy Will here. Appreciate you joining in. And before we close
Yep,
this off,
thank you.
we want to remind everybody EIX Event Industry Expo next year in June, 5, 6, and 7 of 2023 at the South Point Hotel in Las Vegas. Hopefully, if Will's not too busy during that time, we're gonna invite him over there and see if any of you guys want to meet him. Of course, if he's there, get some more advice as far as photography and photo boothing goes. He's your guy.
Absolutely.
And again, really quick, Will, that camera. Go ahead and tell everybody how to find you on your website or Instagram or any social media.
So you can find us on our website. It's desertrosephoto.com. That is in the process of being updated, but it's still available. You can go on there and check out some of our work. For the latest work, you can check us out on Instagram at desertrose_photo. That has the latest events and things that we've done and travel stuff that we do. And you can also find more of our corporate stuff on LinkedIn. So
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us today,
Thank you. We
Will.
appreciate it,
your
Will.
time today.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you guys all caught that episode today, and hopefully, you guys got some good things from it. Appreciate it.